my core, I'm a girl from the South Bronx who moved to Toronto, Canada at the age of 10 and grew up in poverty, where I intimately understood struggle and limitations, but couldn't accept the fact that's all life had for me. I was determined to find out what else there was to be experienced, lived, and learned. Today, as a Black, Hispanic entrepreneur, business executive, speaker, mentor, and single mother, I've had many wins and even more losses. And both have taught me life lessons that I am now ready to share with you. These conversations are going to be vulnerable, honest, and power-packed with wisdom that you'll be able to apply in your life, relationships, and business. So join me and my closest friends as we share how to unlearn the habits that keep us from discovering who we are at our core. And let's develop who we are meant to be and live on purpose. This is me, Sherri, Authentically.
Happy New Year, pretty girls. Here we are once again. I'm grateful to be here with you. I cannot wait to have this conversation with you. It won't be long. It'll be short and sweet, but I thought we definitely needed to have this conversation. Many of you who have heard our podcast from before consider this. And we did 2 seasons of that. It was amazing, great conversations with authentic leaders. And I thought that was great. I thought we had wonderful conversations and things that resonated with people. But today, it's Sherri Authentically, and I'll tell you why. There was a time where I felt like all I was here to do was to lead. And I feel like we all are here to lead in different ways. But today, I really believe that if we don't lead authentically, then what are we doing? What are we really doing? And so I decided this time around, it would be Sherri Authentically, because I really just want to have conversations, yes, with leaders, but with people that I'm close with, people that know me, people that we can have like real authentic, like the offline conversations that we usually have. Yeah, those kind of conversations. I want to have those conversations here with you. I think there is so much wisdom to be had and gleaned from. And so here we are at Sherri Authentically, authentic conversations that are going to be vulnerable, that are going to be transparent, revealing for sure, but power-packed with wisdom and tools that you're going to be able to use in your own personal life, relationships, and businesses. I hopefully and pray. So for those that don't know me, though, let me introduce myself a little bit. And even for those who do know me a little bit, let me get a little bit more authentic with you. Let me keep it real. Who am I? Who is Sherri anyway? I am an Afro-Latina. I'm a little Latin girl, Black Afro-Latina who came from the South Bronx. And both of my parents were substance abusers. Some of you may know that about me. Some of you may not. My father was a heroin addict. My mother was an alcoholic and a prostitute. I had 2 brothers. I had an older brother who would literally physically beat me almost every day until I was about 11 years old, until we came to Canada. And then I had a little brother who looked to me and wanted me to be his mother figure, because our mother many times, rest her soul, God bless her, but she wasn't present. She wasn't able to be present. And living in poverty was just something that we did. Like, I didn't even know we lived in poverty, because to be honest with you, everybody else around me lived in poverty too. So I thought it was normal until we moved to Canada. We moved to Toronto, Canada when I was 10 years old. And that's when I realized that, wait a second, poverty wasn't a location in the world. Like, poverty was actually a location within my mindset and beliefs. Don't worry. We're going to come back to that later, because I know I just dropped a gem for you guys and you're like, what? Yes. We would like to say, oh, that person lives in the hood or that person lives in the ghetto. Oh no, they live in a place, they have an address, but poverty has nothing to do with the location in the world. It's all in here. So growing up, I struggled. I struggled with, limitation and restrictions that poverty brings, but also I struggled with my self-esteem. That might be something as well that you didn't know about me. And I didn't have many people in my formative years be there for me to kind of help me accept who I truly was, or even know who I really was, or if there's any worth. But there was this one lady. She's my principal, my elementary principal. Her name was Miss Burgess, Miss B. I used to call her Miss B. And Miss B, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. She would see always the best in me. She was a little bit of a mini mother figure for me, because I would come to school sometimes and I wouldn't be necessarily dressed always clean, and she would go into the lost and found and get stuff for me. She would just always look out for me. Long story short, she wanted me to present or recite a poem in a poetry contest, but I didn't know it was a poetry contest. I was 8 years old, and it was in the midst of a lot of dysfunction in my home, as you can imagine. And she said three things to me that shifted my world. She said, as she saw me broken and hurt and confused and feeling like I was unimportant, not at all special, I felt like I was worthless. She kept on saying to me, "It's okay, little mama. I believe in you. You can do it." She said that over and over, until to the point where I was like, why does she keep on saying that? Anyway, the whole story is in my book, The Metamorphosis. You can get it at the Pretty Girls Work bookstore. Please, please, please get your copy. When I tell you that this book changed my life and has changed many others, I'd love for you to have it. You could read the whole story there. It's in there. But Miss B allowed me to take a peek into who I was. She gave me, she transferred her energy of confidence in me to me. And even though I was broken and even though I was hurting, I believed her. I trusted her. And I decided to take a leap of faith. The crazy thing about my worth was it was never in jeopardy. It was never at risk to be diminished. It was always strong. It was always steady. It was my belief in my worth that was suspect. It was my belief in who I was, in the special sauce that I had that was downright jacked up. Okay. And I honestly, I started to believe that after Miss B said those things to me and I had that experience with her, I started to believe that maybe I might be worth something. And then boom, we moved to Canada. Child, I was like, what? How could I leave Miss B and everything that I know? And to be honest with you, let's just keep it 100. I knew my 4 block radius. That's really all I knew. I knew Co-op City. That's what I knew. I really didn't know much of the world, but my mother wanted to get us out of the hood and bring us to a new hood. And so we moved here to Canada, and I really believed that, if we could get to Canada, maybe our lives could be better. Maybe my mother's life could be better. Now let me stop here and say this. I could have believed a different story. I could be here saying to you, you know what? I had a jacked up, abusive upbringing. And honestly, that would have been facts. That would have been facts, but that wouldn't have been completely true. And I want to say it's really important for you to understand, more than anything, that I believe in a higher power. Okay. I call that higher power God. You can call it anything. You can call it higher power, energy, universe. I don't care what you call it. But I believe that God was strategic in putting Miss B in my life. And I believe that God was also very strategic in putting a family in my life that I also was able to get mothering from and father figuring from. And so when we get to Toronto, Canada, boom, we got into this family that was able to help us and help us, kind of get our feet steady. But my mother was still struggling with some things, right? And honestly, I want to say again, the difference between facts and truth is this. The facts are, I had an upbringing that was kind of rough. The facts are, it was abusive. But the facts are also in the past. The facts are not going to do anything. They won't even change. But here's the most important thing. In order for you to know who you are, you've got to be able to embrace the truth. The truth is, yeah, we had some hard times, but the truth is my mom was struggling with some things. The truth is I actually had worth no matter what country I was in, right? The truth goes to the root. Say that with me. The truth goes to the root. We need to talk about the root work. And so all of these episodes and this podcast is going to be talking about really and truly, how do we get to the core of who you are? How do we not just get there, but how do we get there? And then how do we believe what we see? Ooh, And then not just that, how do we not just get there, believe what we see, but then we show up? See, we have to get to the root. We have to get to the why. And the truth is all we really need to know in order to actually go through the process of becoming our most authentic self. I was honestly very grateful when I did come to this country to connect with this family. They allowed me to understand, make mistakes. They allowed me to embrace what family looked like, what love looked like, what serving someone else and serving humankind. What does that look like and feel like? How does it feel to even be giving? They opened my eyes and allowed me to peek at who I was, am, and always will be. And it was up to me, though, at that point, when I got that peek, to choose to believe. That was on me. That wasn't on anybody else. I had to choose to believe who I was experiencing and then live that person, live that way unapologetically as my authentic self. Now, let me make sure I let you know it's a process. It is a process, and we out here. We're working on it every day. I went from believing that I wasn't worth anything to believing that I was worthy of good treatment, good things, good people in my life. And really, I had some good things to offer this world. And speaking of good things to offer this world, I knew it was important for me as a young woman, entrepreneur, speaker, businesswoman, to connect with a community of women who I could receive support from, who I could receive encouragement from, and downright resources. Like, when you're starting a business or when you're starting out in your career, you need guidance sometimes. I needed guidance. And this community, the Pretty Girls Work community, they helped me immensely with my business and as well as a speaker. I'm here telling you honestly, top tier coaching, top tier, high level resources that will take you and your business and your career to the next level. I want you to listen to this and then we'll go back to the conversation.
Hey, pretty girl. Here's how to download our brand new app. 1. Download and open Nudge for clients. 2. Click I'm new and enter ID, PrettyGirlsWork. 3. Create a free account to access your feed. 4. Access free resources to level up your business and join niche groups for specialized content. We can't wait to meet you.
You see, it's a community. And I'm going to tell you, if you think that you can do it by yourself, you're believing a lie. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. We all need someone. And me, in becoming my most authentic self as an entrepreneur, as a speaker, as an author. By the way, this is Pretty Girls Work Publishing. By the way, you can get it at the Pretty Girls Work store. All of this is because of the community that I actually was blessed to be a part of. And so becoming your most authentic self is not where it ends. It's an ever evolving process, as I said. But what happens when you start getting around other women and allowing yourself to feel comfortable enough to be your most authentic self, what happens is it starts dropping breadcrumbs, and those breadcrumbs will lead you to purpose. The more I allowed my authentic abilities to show up in my life, in my relationships, in my career with other community members, right? The more it directed me to what I would describe as my career calling, right? I wouldn't just call it my career. I would have to call it a calling. Today, because I've allowed those breadcrumbs to kind of lead me, I'm a transformational speaker. I'm an entrepreneur. I am an author. I work in the nonprofit sector as a business development director. I'm a mother. I mean, I could go on and on with the titles and the labels, but you know what? That means nothing if I don't know who I am authentically. If I don't do the root work that I need to do, and I don't want to say needed to do like it's a past tense thing. This is a daily thing we're going to be working on together, y'all. Okay, we have to do the root work so that we can accept those abilities and those attributes that show up in ourselves that we have to honor. But all of this the root of this starts with your story. What is your story? What's the narrative that you repeat over and over to yourself that shaped your identity? Because I could do it like this. I grew up in a really rough neighborhood. I did. I could say, both my parents were neglectful and they rejected me. They did. They were struggling with their own thing. I could look at this glass, guys, half empty, but I choose to look at it as half full. What is your story? And I'm today able to say I'm an Afro-Latina who values God, family, and walking in purpose. That's who I am. I fight the good fight daily to love myself well. And sometimes I win and sometimes I take an L. I absolutely do. But I forgive myself very quickly and I move on because I know that there's much to learn and grow, right? But why do I say fight the good fight? Because in order to be able to be still and to believe who you are at your core, you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to fight. Not someone externally or not anything externally, you're going to have to fight internally. Let me give you an example. These are questions you ask yourself, okay? Fighting the good fight. Do you honor? Let me say it like as if it's me. Do I honor my feelings or do I suppress them and discount them to please others or to fit in or to be accepted? Fight. Do I know how to use the word no? Straight. Do I know how and do I know when to use the word no to ensure I'm protecting my peace and giving my time and effort to those who truly deserve it? Fight. Have I unlearned the things that I thought were a part of my core identity so that I can embrace the truth about who I really am and not allowing my past to weigh in on that internal conversation? Fight. You see, in order to honestly and truly be on this ever-evolving journey toward discovering and embracing and showing up as your most authentic self, my sister, there's some root work that we're going to have to do, and we do it in love. So what's your story? What's your real story? What's your root story? When you realize there's a behavior that you need to change, do you stay surface and change the behavior without finding out why you do or say or show up the way you do? Because I can tell you right now that change will be temporary, 100%, 100%. And before you know it, you'll resort back to your default. But today we're talking about getting to the root. Why did I start this whole story with where I came from and my upbringing and my childhood? And why did I start there? Because that's where all of the roots were. That's where they all are. We got some root work to do, y'all. And I'm here for it. I hope you're here for it as well. Actually, I'm so here for it. I want to invite you to something, okay? I want us to do the work together. And honestly, I feel like there are times where, we can do certain things by ourselves, but there are times when we need each other, right? So if you're also here to do the work and have some fun at the same time, I'm hoping that you will join me and other high-performance, heart-centered women at the live recording of Sherri Authentically on January 15th. I need you to be there. It is our 2023 Prep Picnic. Tickets are on sale now, and everyone will be receiving a digital vision journal. Not a vision board, a vision journal. Why? Because vision boards fade out by February. Nobody's looking at that. But if you've got a digital vision journal where you can write down not just what you want to achieve, but how you're going to achieve it and have that digitally, you can have that in your phone. You can have that in your laptop popping up at you. Come on. Come on. We're not only going to be doing the digital visual journal, we are going to be coming together. We're going to be doing a live recording of Sherri Authentically talking about imposter syndrome. Come on, we know that that's a real thing, but it's really, really important for you guys to be there. So please, please, tickets are on sale. Please make sure you get your tickets today. So as we close with this episode, I want to challenge you to write 3 things down, 3 questions that I want you to really, truly write down, but I also want you to ponder on, reflect on, and answer yourself honestly. You don't even have to share it with anybody if you don't want to. First question, do I truly love myself? If I do, name 3 things about your character that you absolutely adore about yourself unapologetically. I want you to write them down. And if you can't say I adore them, I'll take strongly like. I'm in strong like with these characteristic traits. Okay? That's number 1. Number 2, when you make decisions for yourself, who accompanies your thoughts? Is it a family member? Is it your friends, your loved ones, your husband, your significant other, society? Who else is taking up space in your mental real estate, informing your decisions other than just you? And lastly, what is most frightening about being your most authentic self if I took rejection off the table? If rejection was not a factor, what is the most frightening thing about you being your most authentic self? Listen, this has been an amazing time that we've spent together. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you have as well. I hope something has resonated with you. If this podcast has helped you in any way, or maybe you feel like you could help someone else, please share it. Please subscribe to it. Subscribe to our channel, like it, and we'll see you at our next episode where we go deeper to what our little girl response is, the imposter syndrome, January the 15th. Until then, love you.